Proverbs 14:12, it says that there is a way that appears to be right, but in the end leads to death. I mean, if there's a way that appears to be right, that means that God will let us take it. I mean, he will not force his good way on us. Hey there, my name is Danielle. Grab your cup of coffee, your tea, whatever you would like to drink this afternoon. I am about to brew my third cup of coffee for the day here in a little bit. So I'm not quite there yet, but you are welcome to bring yours on. As a Christian mom of 6 kids, I had my first baby when I was 23 years old, 10 years ago. And just looking back at how I have evolved over the years and the things that worked and the things that didn't work, I have just a couple things that I have changed over the years that I no longer do. And of course, there is more. This isn't an exhaustive list. I just picked a couple of the big ones that I don't any longer do, and I would love to share them with you today. Thank you for inviting me into your home. Let me know in the comments how many children you have, where you are in your life right now. Are you a stay-at-home mom? Do you work outside of the home? Are you a Christian mom? Let us come alongside each other as sisters in this. Stay tuned to the point that I'm going to make at the very end because you're not going to want to miss it. It is one that you probably have never heard of before. The first thing that I no longer do as a Christian mom is a really, really big one. I no longer fight with my husband. Now, that is for the most part. Can I fight with my husband? Absolutely, I can fight with him. I mean, we all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, right? But the capability is definitely there to fight. But I have learned how to end the fighting in my marriage. 8 years ago, I cried out to God in my marriage just to end the fighting. I was so desperate and just like, God, please end the fighting in my marriage. I don't know how much longer I can live like this. I wasn't contemplating divorce or anything like that, but I was just sick of the fighting and I was at my end. I didn't know what to do anymore. But I didn't know how to get the good marriage that I wanted. And so I cried out to God and he began showing me things. And now 8 years later, I mean, I have a podcast to show for it and a book and all these things. God, this journey of marriage and just the revelation that it entails will never be over. I realize that. But God has taught me how to end the fighting in my marriage. If that is something that you want to learn more about, let me know in the comments and I will point you in the right direction with that. Maybe give you some tips, some guidance. I had 3 kids at that time when I first began crying out, and now I have 6. The reason that this is my number one thing that I don't any longer do, it would probably be my number one all the way across the board. I said that there are several, there's an exhaustive list, right? But this would remain number one across the board because, a kingdom divided cannot stand. And so when we're thinking about parenting, I mean, marriage is at the forefront. The Proverbs 31 woman, it's a very, very popular chapter in the Bible, right? It's almost a buzzword in our culture, and we can take her out of context and twist things in there, whatever. But the very first thing it says about her is that the heart of her husband trusts in her. She will do him good all the days of her life and not harm. The very first thing it talks about with this Proverbs 31 woman is her marriage. Her marriage was good. She was going to do her husband good and not harm all the days of her life. Well, one thing that I just found in my entire journey is, God said it is not good that man should be alone. So I will make a helper who is suitable for him. But then later in Proverbs 21:9, it says, it is better for a man to live alone than to live with a quarrelsome wife. There's so much there. Comment below if you would like. There's so much there. Just comment however you would love to comment. I would love to come alongside you in your marriage, but that's the first thing that God said was not good. But then here in Proverbs, he's saying it is better for him to be alone than to be with a quarrelsome wife. And so, Proverbs 14, it says the wise woman builds up her home, but the foolish one tears hers down. And it starts with marriage. I mean, that is the foundation. If you're a believer, we believe that marriage is a very big part of the family, right? The husband in the home, the father in the home. And there's so much that goes into it. It will take a lifetime, to unpack it all. I mean, marriage is related to Christ and the church. It's such a holy thing. But that is number one when we're looking at being a good parent. Now, can you not seek God's way as a parent if your marriage is falling apart? That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just bringing light to it, that it's like, maybe you've done this as a parent and everything looks good as a parent, but you're missing something. Well, does your marriage need some work? I mean, that could be something. So that is the first thing that I don't any longer do as a Christian wife. I do not fight with my husband. I'm not saying that I'm not capable of it, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but for the most part, my husband and I, we no longer fight, which has brought so much rest and peace in our home, and our kids pick up on that. They see how mom treats dad and how dad treats mom, and I'm not saying we're 100% Christ-like, but we do mirror God, we do mirror Christ in the church, and are we being a good representative of that? The second thing that I don't do anymore as a Christian wife is miss even one day of devotions. A little over 5 years ago, we moved into this house, and right before we moved into this house, I decided and I committed to reading the Bible every single day with my kids. I was that mom who was really like kind of influenced by all of the Bible study tips out there. And there's a lot of Christian moms who, they have their quiet time and it looks so nice and put together and all of this. I tried to do that and it did not work for me. And then I was like, you know what? I want to just do it as a family. And there's so many studies out there that prove that learning is enhanced when you work in groups. And so my devotions is my children's devotions, and we do not miss a day. Absolutely do not miss a day. Now, sometimes if I'm trying to go, like if it's just not happening that day and it's got to be a short version, then we at least do our Bible memory. But that is still scripture. We do about 6 or 7 scriptures every day, memory verses, just over and over and over again. And so that is still scripture. So like if we're really kind of in a hurry, or it's just kind of been an off day, which doesn't happen too often, we will just do that. But that is something that I do not miss. And to be honest, when we talk about Romans 12:2, not conforming to the pattern of this world, that is where it's at. It is Bible reading. It is hiding the word in our heart, hiding scripture in our children's heart. And we just cannot be transformed or renewed if we are not in the word, because that is the chief way that God is going to speak to us, and how he's going to convict us. And the Gospels, the life of Christ, I love the Gospels because we can see how Jesus responded. And I love that passage of scripture where Jesus is speaking to Philip and he says, "Oh Philip, how can you say, show us the Father? If you have seen me, you have seen the Father." So you can see the heart of God through Jesus's life. Jesus, he said, "I can do nothing apart from my Father. Everything I do, I see the Father doing." And so we can even get the heart of the Father when it comes to parenting by looking at the life of Jesus as well. So Bible reading is non-negotiable. That is something that I no longer miss. It used to be a hit and a miss that I would make it, but now it is a hit and a miss that I don't do it. I mean, it is just so a part of us, so part of our routine. It's like our day doesn't officially start until we get devotions done. The third thing that I no longer do as a Christian mom is believe that my kids need all this socialization, right? Outside of church. We go to church on Sunday, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we don't do Wednesday nights yet. I don't know that we ever will. Maybe we will. We probably will. But right now, my oldest is almost 11, so he's not quite at like youth group age. But, as parents, I look on even at my other Christian friends who, and I'm not like judging anybody, but we can stand and we can look, right? Hi, Sarah. You can go outside. Hi. Do you want to have something to eat? Do you want soup? Do you want to go outside? The kids are outside. Do you want to grab an apple and then go outside?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm not standing in judgment of anybody. All of our lives are completely different, right? We can get in a rut comparing ourselves. So I'm not comparing myself. But for my family, my husband and I have decided that, our kids are not going to be in sports. Now that's like really provocative, right? Like a lot of people put their kids in sports. No judgment. I mean, I've even, we've considered it, but then we just, really decided it's just, we just kind of, my kids play with each other. We go to church on Sunday. We go see grandma and grandpa. Once in a while we'll get together with a play date with another family or something like that. But I used to really think that I needed to keep up with the Joneses and that I needed to go to co-op, like homeschool co-op, and do all of the things, right? But sometimes all of the things just become like a lot, and then we lose focus of what's most important. And so that is something that I no longer do. My husband and I, we've talked things out. I don't fight with him about it, and it just is the way it is. And our lives are really like slow and laid back. We do school, our kids hang out with each other, we go to church, we go to grandma and grandpa's. I mean, I don't believe in like a fast-paced life. At least that's not how my husband and I have felt that that's how we're going to do things. And it really set me free as a mother, that I don't have to be running around. I mean, because a lot of it can be mom just running around like a chicken with her head cut off. And it's like, yeah, you're doing a lot of good things, but what are we doing to get that good thing? Or what's the process look like? Or, there's a lot of striving involved and all of this stuff. And so for us, that is just not something we do. So that is no longer something that I believe is that I need to have my kids in sports and go to co-op and all that. I'm not saying that I'll never do co-op, just right now we're not doing it because I still have little kids who need naps. Fourth thing that I no longer do is not be a part of a community. Now I know I just talked about how I don't we're not a family who puts our kids in sports and goes to co-op and do all those things, those extra things. But I'm talking about, going to church on a consistent basis. And I mean, that's non-negotiable. We do go to church on a consistent basis, but that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how I never used to be involved with like helping church. And now just recently I have begun singing on the worship team, and I do it every Sunday, and it's been changing me because I'm a part of something bigger than myself. And also I'm leading a life group on Tuesday nights, which, I'm a part of another community there as well. And so that's like good for me. It's like an extra, I'm not saying it's an extra thing, but I'm just saying it's like I need that. Like I need that extra connection with other people, with other ladies, being a part of something that's bigger than just in the house, like I know being in the home and homeschooling, I know all that is very important, but just feeling like an individual, like I'm a part of something. And also my kids can look on and see that mom is prioritizing that and that dad is making a way for her to do those things, and that it must be important. And so I foresee that they could be in a place where they value that, at a younger age than I was when I first started prioritizing that in my life. So no longer do I not be a part of community, life groups and volunteering at church and just being a part of something. Here is number 5, the one that I said might surprise you. I no longer expect every single day to be the same. I used to do that. Us mothers, we love when we have patterns and every day is the same, and we feel like we're really accomplishing things when every day is the same. And structure can be good. God is not the author of confusion or chaos or anything like that. So structure can be good, but expecting every day to be the same can be bondage. At least as far as I see it, like I could be striving for every single day to be exactly the same, and then I can like really fight for that to happen. And I've really come to just cherish what I call the principle of manna. Like, God rained manna for his people, and they were supposed to take what they needed every single day. And God was going to provide for them. And so I look at it like that. Like if it's a day that's kind of, yeah, I do prefer when things hit like our specific, the structure that works for us. But if it doesn't fit that, then I just embracing this mindset of manna has really brought me freedom and rest and peace as a mother, because then I'm not fighting to make it happen. I'm just like, well, God's going to provide in a way that I didn't expect coming. God's going to provide in a way that I didn't expect. And you know what? Oftentimes when he does those things that I didn't expect, I'm blessed so much. Like I'm blessed in a way that I just really didn't see coming. And just that is something that I used to really, every day had to be the same. And, we do this, we do this, we do this. Well, you can really, really lock yourself up in a prison cell by doing that, because life is messy and it's things are chaotic, especially when you have young children. Comment below, let me know how old your children are. Did any of these hit home with you? Do you do any of these? Do you not do any of these things? I don't know. You get it. Just comment below, and I'd love to connect with you. If you got one or two things out of this video, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, bye for now.